Hi, and welcome to Intro to SQL using the MySQL database. My name is Scott Bartow. This is the third session of our class. And let's see, I just wanted to mention that if it seems like I'm slurring my speech a little bit, it's due to tongue surgery that I had last year, and I'm still trying to learn how to speak correctly. So I didn't want you to think there was something wrong with me. But I wanted to mention that for the students that were able to get into the MySQL database to load it onto their own computers. The way to get into the database, once you have it loaded correctly, is to go into, click on Start in your Windows machine, and then you want to look up MySQL Workbench. If you look on my screen in the upper left-hand corner, I have MySQL Workbench. You want to open that workbench up. Once it comes up on the toolbar, you want to click on Database, and you want to click on Connect to Database. And this should all be set up for you for your local host, your local machine. So when you click on Connect to Database, it'll bring up information, the different settings that you have already set up for your computer. And then you want to click on OK in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and that will bring up the database in your MySQL Workbench, like you're seeing right now on my screen, and what we used last session to start learning about SQL. So once you have that your workbench up and running, you're connected to the database, and the database we're using is Classic Models. If you look over to the left-hand side of this MySQL tool, database tool, you can click on, you'll have Classic Models as an option. So you click on the arrow there, and then you want to click on Tables, and then that shows all the different tables that we have. So if I click on one of the tables, like Customers, that will show me, that would give me the option for columns, and you click on columns, and that shows you all the different columns that this table has. All right, so I wanted to let's see. I wanted to go back and just show you a couple of things on the sorting of using SQL. And these are a couple of things that I didn't cover in the last session. And the first thing is, if you wanted to sort your results by a column in ascending order and then another column in descending order, how would you do that? So the way to do it is, all right, so say you wanted to, say we're going to sort the first and last name of the customers table. So we would do a select. Remember the commands, let's do in capital letters. And you always have IntelliSense that you can use also. So select, and what I want to do is, in lowercase, I want to do the column names. So I want to do contact, last name, comma, to separate the different, when you have multiple columns that you want to select on. Contact, first name, All right, then on the next line, I'm going to do a from and the table name, which will be customers. Hit enter, and now I want to do my sort, which we use the command order by. So say I want to sort ascending. I want to sort last name by ascending order and first name by descending order. So the way to do that would be you would put the column contact. Oh, it's not contact, sorry. It's just last name. And this would be first name, I believe. Let me look at the, off to the left, I click on customers table, and then the column. And I've got, oh, customers. No, it is. It is contact last name, contact first name, sorry. So it's contact last name, contact first name, customers table. So I want to do contact last name, ascending, ASC, comma. So they're comma separated. And then you have contact first name, DESC. And then we end our SQL statement with a semicolon. You just have to put it in the right place. So semicolon goes at the very end. And now in our MySQL Workbench tool, when you click on this lightning bolt that I have the cursor on, that will run your SQL. So I click on the lightning bolt, and if I look down below, I can see I have an error. And it says select contact, blah, blah, blah. No database selected. All right, so the from table in this MySQL tool, Workbench tool, you have to name the database. So I have classic models. I should just use IntelliSense. Classic models dot, and I want the customers table, right? Which is the first highlighted IntelliSense object. So I'll double click on that and it comes up. All right, so if I run my SQL now, it should be fine. So it's fetching, and right in the middle here, I have the result grid, right? Which gives me my, it gives me a heading, contact last name, and the other column that was selected, the heading is contact first name. All right, so if you look at, let's say, oh, okay, I'm gonna run this again because in the result grid, if you click on the heading, it'll sort first in ascending order, and then if you click it again, it'll sort descending order. So I'm going to run it again, and we'll get the results that we were looking for. So we're doing an order by contact last name, ascending, ASC. So if you look over here in my result grid, I've got the last name going from A down to Z. So I have AC, a shorty, and then I have ALT, and then I have Anderson, A and D. So it's sorting the last name ascending, but it's sorting the first name descending. Well, it should be contact first name descending. Oh, okay, yeah. So what I need somebody with the same last name. I wonder if there's anybody Oh, yep, here's 3 people with the last name of Brown. Okay, so let's look at that as an example. So contact last name is being sorted ascendingly. And so I've got 3 Browns. And the contact first name is being sorted descending. So the first person with the last name of Brown is William, W. And second person is Julia, or Julie, with a J, and the last one is Ann. So it is descending, or it is sorting the first names in descending order. All right, so that's how you do multiple columns, one ascending, one descending, if that's what you want. Now remember, ascending is the default. So actually, contact last name, I can run the SQL without ASC in there, because it'll just assume it's descending order. So if I rerun this, you can see the contact last name is still sorted in ascending order. All right. So that's one of the 2 things I wanted to show you with the order by command in SQL to sort your data. The other thing is to, let's say, the other thing is using the order by command in SQL to sort a result set by an expression. So let me show you how to do this. We're going to be using the order details table. So if you go to the left of the workbench, let's see, why don't I close up the customers table. So we're going to be using the order details table. So I'll open that up. I'll open up the columns. And so what we want to do is we want to take the column, the value that's in the column quantity ordered, and we want to multiply that times the column price each. And whatever the result is, we want to order by the result, the final result of those 2, multiplying those 2 columns. So the way to do this is, let's see. First, we're going to need a couple of new columns. So we want, that's the order by, order number. And we want the order, let's list out the order line number, all lowercase. And then we're going to do quantity ordered times price each. And we're going to do from classic models dot, instead of customers, we're going to do dot order details. And then for the order by, we're going to do order by, and we're going to have the quantity order times price each, and we're going to have it descending. So I'll just copy that out. I'll keep the DESC in there. And we finish our SQL statement with a semicolon. So let's see what happens if we run this. Okay, so here we are. And the reason why I put quantity ordered, the column name quantity ordered times price each, is if you notice in the result grid, that's what comes out as the heading. All right. So I've got order number, order line number. And then I had the 2 columns, the values of the 2 columns, quantity ordered times price each, to come up with the result. And so we're ordering this result using order by in descending order. So I have the first result is 11,503. The second one is 11,170. So I'm going from greatest to smallest. And if you look down here, there's a lot of records in here. So I'll go, the way to get down to the bottom of the result set is off to the right here. There's a scroll bar. So just scroll all the way down. There's quite a few records in this result set. So the last result is 3,584.70 cents. So one way to make quantity ordered times price each. Let's give this a try. So change the heading instead of saying quantity ordered times price each, although that does explain it pretty well. One way is say you wanted the heading to just say total. You would say as total. Let's see if that works. All right, so when I run it again, do we get a different heading? Yeah, there we go. So if you don't want just the heading to be the column name, the way in your select statement, you name the column name, and then you say as, and then you put in the name that you want the heading to be presented in the result grid. So I can do the same thing with order number. So here I have order number, right? In the result grid, it comes out as the column name, order number. But I want it to be a little bit neater, so I say as order, capital O order, and capital N number, order number. Now, I might have to put that in single quotes, let's say. I'll run it, and there's an error. Okay, so if I put this, if I put single quotes around order number, that should work. There we go, order number, and it wrapped it. So put the word order on top, and then it wrapped the word number underneath, because this column width just wasn't big enough. Now in the result grid, if I move it over, just by highlighting the border between the two columns and move it over to the right, it makes the column width of the first column for order number wider. So then the heading is not wrapped. So that's how you do actual specific custom headings that you want, instead of just having the heading be the column name. So really, off to the right here in my select statement, quantity ordered times price each should be as total. So as total, and I should have single quotes around this also. And let me give a heading for order line number. So as, oops, so up here, as that, or order line number, and we'll give it a single quote, and let's run it. There we go. So now in my result grid, I have order number, order line number, and total, which are a lot more descriptive. I can move order line number over in my result grid to have the heading not be wrapped, but be on a single line. All right, so those are the two things I wanted to show you, go back and show you as far as sorting your data. Now let's move on and continue with all the things we can do with filtering our data. So the last session we worked on the where clause, which is like, it's just such an important, besides select and from, the where clause is just a huge SQL statement that you have to understand and use. Order by sorting the data is not nearly as important as like the where clause. So let's move on and finish up with how you filter your data. So in the last session, we spoke about filtering data using SQL, and we talked about the where clause. And in conjunction with the where clause, we talked about using the and operator, the or operator, and the between. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to using the like operator. So why don't we get rid of MySQL? And what we'll do is we're going to use the employees table, and we're going to select, so SELECT, capital letters. We're going to select first name, comma, last name. And we're going to do the employees table, so we need from. And we have to name the database, classic models, right? And you just select it, dot. And we need the employees table. There we go. So you can see how the MySQL Workbench tool, the use of IntelliSense is very, very handy. Hit enter. And now I need my where clause. Where, let me just get rid of this. So where last name, oops, last name, and you can see the IntelliSense says the second item down in the drop down. Let's see. To the left is COLN, which is column, and I want last name. So I hit enter, and I get last name populated. And now we have to use the operator like. And then we'll do a single quote, and we'll do a %sign. All right, single quote, %sign, and like son, S-O-N, and then single quote. All right, so it's going to be like son. So we're taking the last name. Anybody who's got S-O-N in the name, like a last name like Robinson or Thompson, should show up in the result grid, the result set. All right, and let's see. And then we're going to do an order by. And let's see. Order by. Let's do order by last name. And end your SQL statement with a semicolon. Whoops. Semicolon. There we go. All right, so we have select first name, comma, last name from classic models database dot employees table, where last name is like single quote %sign SON single quote. So any last name with SON in it will be in the result grid, and we're going to order by last name. Right, so let's do the lightning bolt. And there we go. So all we have is we have 4 last names in our employees table. 3 of them have the last name of Patterson. Why don't we do I'll do order by, instead of by last name, I'll do it by first name. So those 3 employees with the last name of Patterson can be sorted by in ascending order by their first name. So I'll run this query. So now the first one is ordered by last name. Actually, why don't we'll sort by last name, and then we'll sort by first name. All right. Data. And I'm going to run this. Okay, so now we have the last name of Patterson, and we're sorting by, within the last name Patterson, we're sorting by the first name with M for Mary, then S for Steve, and W for William. And then we have the next last name, which is Thompson. All right, so that's how you use like. So if I were to change this, the like, instead of %SON, what if I changed it to percent, what's another popular word? What if I just wanted percent %P? No, percent, how about space P? Let's see if that works. So that would give me, that should give me all the last names of Patterson, right? Because the first, I'm doing a space and then the last name. Let me run the query, see if I get anybody. Nope, I don't get anybody because I think there is no, So I can't do a space. So percent, what if you just wanted people whose first name or last name starts with a P? Not sure how to do that. Well, maybe I can do a capital P. Maybe it'll be case sensitive. Nope. Not like that either. P. So percent about PAT for Patterson. And like that. All right, so something here. SON. SON gives me Patterson. No, it is case sensitive. So PAT, capital P, AT, that should give me all the Pattersons, but it doesn't. Not sure why. PAT. Well, I have to come back to that. So I have SON. SON. Okay, I figured out the like operator in the where clause. So my first example was the percent sign. So the percent is used as the wildcard. So percent SON returns anybody with the last name Patterson or like Thompson. So I'll run this. So Patterson and Thompson are in the employees table. But so it's only last names that end with SON, right? The percent sign being in front of the SON makes everything else a wildcard. So say I wanted to just list all names that start with a P, a capital P. So capital P, it is case sensitive. So if I do capital P and then the percent sign and run it, I should just get 3 records, all with the last name of Patterson. And that's what I get. See, I don't get Thompson now, right? So if I wanted to list all the people with the last name of T, or last name who starts with a capital T, I would do T and then the percent sign. So the percent sign is just a wild card. And see, now I have 2 records in the result grid. One is Thompson and the other one is Sen. All right, so where you place that percent sign when you're using the like operator in your where clause is how it's going to filter your data out. All right, so I wonder if we can do this. What if we did, starts with the last name of T, and then has last name of T. Well, that's enough for the like operator. Just remember where you place this % sign is it's always going to be treated as a wildcard. So it depends what you're trying to search for. All right, so let's move on to the next operator, which is the in operator. And this I use, that works all the time. All right, the in operator returns true if a value matches any value in a list. So let's continue using the employees table, and we're selecting first name, last name, and we're going to select the office code. Office, oops. So office C code, oops, from the employees table. And where's our where clause? Do this. Where office code in one comma 2 comma 3. So, and let's order by. So we do order by, order space by, and we're going to order by the office code. And we finish our SQL statement with a semicolon. All right, so now, if the column named office code has a value of 1, 2, or 3, by using the in operator, it will display them in a result grid. All right, so let's run this guy. And looks like we have an error. You have an error here. So if it looks down at the bottom, if you're using the MySQL Workbench, down at the bottom, off to the right, it says error code 1064. You have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual, something, something, something. So where office code is in that, order by office code. Employees table, office code. So my SQL looks correct. I have the where clause, office code in 1, 2, 3, order by. So it's my SQL syntax. It doesn't like. I have the database table. Let's see if I can figure this out. So I'm not sure what that error was, because all I did to test out my SQL code. One thing you can do is you can highlight the code that you want to run. All right. So the way I tried to debug my problem was that I wanted to not run the order by office code. So what I did was I just highlight the code I want to run. I just wanted to select the from and the where to run. So if you highlight it and then click on the lightning bolt, it'll run that code, right? So if I just wanted select from, if I highlight the code I want to run and click on the lightning bolt, it'll run it. So what I just ran is I want to select every first name, last name, and office code from the employees table. Another way you can debug your code is, if you don't want to highlight and run, is to just use the comment. And the comment in SQL is just dash dash. All right. Well, maybe not in MySQL though. It doesn't seem like that. Anyway, when we go over what the comment is in using MySQL, you could just comment out. You should comment out lines of code, and then run using the lightning bolt. Okay, but we'll come to how to comment out your code for either commenting your code or for debugging your code a little later on. Okay, so this is how we use the in operator in our where clause to filter out our data. All right, so I've got in office code equals a value of 1, 2, or 3, and then I'm ordering it by the office code. So when I run this, well, I don't have to highlight it. I'm running the whole thing. So I hit the lightning bolt, and if you look at the result grid, I've got first name, last name, and their office code. It's ordered by office code 1. Then you have 2. Then you have 3. And we have a total of, it says here, 32 employees. 32 employees in the database. So what if I just wanted to filter out by office code 5 and 6, for 5 and 8, right? I'll put a space after the comma just so it's more readable. All right, so I want anybody who has an office code that's either a 5 or an 8. So the in is just a really handy operator when you're trying to filter out data. And so there are no records with an office code of 8. And if you look at the result grid, it returns 2 records with an office code of 5. All right, so that's the in operator. Now let's move on to all right, now let's move on to the null operator. So we're going to check to see if a value is null or not. Okay, so what we use is we use the is space null operator. All right, so the null operator will turn, the is null operator will return true. Remember Booleans, true or false. It will return true if the value is null. Now, in the database world, null is a marker that indicates a piece of information is missing or unknown. It's not equivalent to the number 0 or an empty string. All right, null is different. So using the is null operator, let's why don't we continue to use the employees table, and we'll still select the first name and the last name, but let's select, instead of office code, why don't we select reports, and I'll use IntelliSense, so I want the column reports to. So first name, last name, reports to. What else? And then we want it from the classic models database employees table, where not going to be office code. I'll get rid of the rest of the where clause. So we want the where reports to is null. So we want the column reports to, and then is null is the operator, is space null. And then we can just end with our semicolon, get rid of the order by. And let's run it. All right, so it looks like we only have a single record in our result grid. We have a Diane Murphy. and she has a null value in the reports to column. So we only have one. And that's how you use is null. All right, it's pretty simple, but remember, is null is not 0 and it's not an empty string. It's not a blank. All right, null is different. All right, so that's the is null operator. And what else do we have? We're filtering out data. All right, now we have in the where clause, you have a lot of comparison operators you can use. You have the equal sign. You have the you can either use for not equals, you can use less than and greater than together. So let me just show you. So if I'm going to use, let's see, I want something to compare it to. So why don't we use we'll continue to use the employees table, but instead of reports to, why don't we have a job title? So we'll select that job title column, and we'll still have our from statement say classic models.employees, because we're using the employees table. And so for our where clause, let's get rid of this stuff. Where clause, we're going to have job title. Job title not equal to. So in SQL, your one of your comparison operators that you might use is not equal to. So but there's two ways to do it in SQL. You can do greater than or less than greater than, and say we're saying we want to list everybody whose job title is not sales rep. And now this is a string, so you have to surround it by quotes. And then we'll just end our SQL with a semicolon. So if I run this, it's going to list everybody with the job title is not equal to sales rep. So I have president, VP sales, VP marketing, sales manager. What else? Why don't we do an order by? So we'll do order by space, and we're going to order by job title. So let's run that again. Okay, so now we have first name, last name, job title, and I'm ordering by the job title. So president, sales manager APAC, sales manager NA, VP marketing, VP sales. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 records that were returned. And out of those 6, none of them have a job title equal to sales rep. So that's what you get when you use the less than greater than sign in combination. But the way I've always used it is instead of less than greater than, I've always used this method for not equals, and is exclamation point equal sign. All right. So let's try that. We should get the same 6 records as before. I run it, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. President, sales manager, VP marketing, VP sales. All right. So either way, but the way I'm used to it is for not equals is the exclamation equal sign. All right, and then you have the other obvious forms of comparison operators, and you have the less than sign, you have the greater than sign, and you have the less than equal sign, and greater than equal sign. When you're doing less than equal to or greater than equal to, you want to have the less than or greater than sign first and then the equal sign after it. All right, so let's see if we can try that. All right, now you can't do less than or greater than. You can't use those comparison operators when you have it when you're comparing against a string. All right, so let's not have job title, but let's do like office code. Office code we know is a number. All right, so if I want greater than or equal to, and I'll change my where clause. So if I want where the office code is greater than, yeah, let's do greater than or equal to 4. All right, the number 4. And we'll order by office code. Semicolon to end my statement, and then I'll run this. All right, so it orders the office code in ascending order, right? So I have 4. I want greater than or equal to 4, an office code of greater than or equal to 4. So it starts with 4, moves down to 5, 6, 7, and that's it. 7 is the greatest office code that we have. So those are the comparison operators. There aren't too many of them, and most are self-explanatory. I'm not sure if you've ever used the not equal sign before, or the not equal comparison operator, but it is pretty handy. And that pretty much wraps up filtering your data. All right, so next we're going to move on to talking about joins. So before we go into talking about table joins, let's talk about something that we started to talk about earlier in this session, which are aliases. So earlier we talked about giving alias names to select column names. So to make the headings of our columns better. So if you look at the SQL that I have up right now, I've got in the result grid, I've got first name. First name is the column name. Last name is the column name, and then office code is the column name. So if I want this to look better, and I want to reference these column names by their alias name, I can. So let's give aliases to the 3 column names. All right. So first name. Why don't we do and the way to give an alias is to use the keyword as. So select first name as space, and then remember these are strings, so we're going to put them in single quotes. So I want first space name, single quote, comma, and then for last name, I want to do an alias. So I do as single quote, last space name, single quote, comma, and then finally office code as single quote, where is it? Oops, where am I? So as single quote, office code. All right, so if I run this in the result grid, now my headings will have the alias names, right? So I've got first space, first name, last name, office code as my headings. All right. And I can also, so that's how you give aliases to alias names to column names. But most of the time, the way I use aliases are for the table names. All right, because a lot of times in your SQL, you're going to have like multiple tables, and you're going to reference those tables in your where clause. You know, if this column name from this table equals that column name from that table. So it makes typing your code a lot easier too. So in this example, I have the employees. I'm using the employees table, right? So if I take classic models.employees and I give this table an alias, it would be space. Say I just use the alias name E for employees, right? So then down below, I can say office code equal whatever. Okay, so if I run this, now my table has an alias of E. So I have to give you an example of when your SQL is using multiple employees. All right. So I've got the employees table. Let's see what's on there, and then let's see where employees might be connected. Offices. How about offices? I've got an office code, and so does the employees table. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get rid of the aliases for our columns. All right, just to make this look a little bit neater. Because most of the time your aliases are going to be for they're going to be used for giving alias names to your table name. All right, so say I have first name, last name, office code. All right. So I've got classic models.employees, and I'm calling employees E. I'm giving it an alias name of E. All right, so now I have another table. So classic models dot, oops, sorry, classic models dot, and the other table I want is offices. And I'm going to call this O for offices, all right? All right. Maybe E and O are a little not descriptive enough. So for the employees table, I'm going to use EMP. And for the offices table, I'm going to use OFF. All right, so now up above in my select statement, all right, first name is unique to the employees table. Last name is unique to the employees table. But office code is a column name that is part of employees and part of offices. So what I can do is I can say I want the office code to be displayed from the employees table. So I'm going to say EMP dot office code. All right. So it's saying, you know, do the values from the column, the office code column from the employees table, not from the offices table. All right. And now down in my where clause. So if I've got what these two tables have in common is they have office code in common. All right. So I can't say I want the office code EMP so when office code EMP is equal to the office code from the offices table. So I use the alias OFF for offices, dot, and then dot, and then the office code field. I want OFF dot office code. I want the column. There we go. All right. And then from there, I want to, how about I only want to take, so when those equal, and I only want to take, say employee, only when office dot office codes. I need it. If you have more than one statement in your where clause, don't forget you have to concatenate with a comma. Or not a comma, I'm sorry. We're going to say and. We're going to use the and. All right, so office code from the employees table is going to equal the office code from the offices table. And the office code from the office table is going to be greater than 5. All right, and it'll order by office code. And that should be good. All right, so see, this is the first example of using that have more than one statement in our where clause. All right, and we're combining, we're matching records between two tables that have like columns. All right, so, and we're doing this by showing an example of using alias names for table names. So now I'm going to run this, and there we have it. All right, so the employee's office code matches the office's office code, and the office's office code is greater than 5. So there's no 5s out there where they have a match. All right. Now, what if I put or in here instead of an and, right? So then if any of these match, right now I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 records returned, right? But if any of these match off the employees table and the offices table, or if I have any offices table office codes greater than 5, I'll display it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 6 records here. If I say or, I have a whole bunch more, right? Tons more. All right, so that's the difference between the or, right? Or is if one statement is true, then if either statement is true, then present those records. But with an and, it's both statements have to be true for you to present the records. All right, so that's how we use the. I'm going to go back to the and so it's pretty important to be able to use the table names. I mean, to use alias names for tables, because it's a lot simpler to code, because I'm just typing an emp to be able to differentiate between the office code, because office code is shared by these two tables. So if I don't put what if I don't have the table name in front of the column name office code, So say in my where clause, if I took off the OFF dot in front of office code, this should error out because it says, well, what office code are you talking about? From what table? From the employees table or from the offices table? So if I click on the lightning bolt, see I have an error at the bottom of my screen. I have error code, column office code. If you look to the right, error code 1052, column office code in where clause is ambiguous, which means it's like I don't know what table to pull office code from when you're doing your comparison. So that's why when you're trying to join tables by common values, you have to differentiate what table that value is coming from. So that's where table aliases come in really handy, because if I didn't have an alias, say for the offices table, I've got the alias name of OFF. If I didn't have that, I would have to type in classic models dot offices dot office code, right? I mean, instead of typing all of this, I'd much rather have an alias name of OFF that differentiates the table. So this is just kind of an introduction into joining tables, but it's very important to understand the alias names for table names, and know that you can also use alias names for column names up in the select statement, and that will change your heading titles, and it just makes coding SQL a little bit easier. All right, so that wraps up our third session of Intro to SQL using the MySQL database. I hope you were able to take a look at the exercises I presented on Google Classroom from last session, and I'll be presenting more exercises from this session. So look for them out there. There's several people that haven't accepted my invitation yet. Please do, and take a look at the Google Classroom. It's a great way to communicate with me. I can help you out with any problems that you're running into, or any questions you might have. And so please accept my invitation. If you haven't received it, contact me or the library, and I'll make sure you get the link to the Google Classroom. And I will talk to you next week. Thank you very much.